So I want to start this by saying that my family had some strange things happen to them for years, but this one really stuck out with me. This happened when I was about 13 and my sister was 15. We lived in a 2-story house with my mom and her boyfriend. They had a room downstairs and me and my sister lived upstairs. I need to explain the layout for this story to make sense. When you enter the house through the big front door, you can see the living room and the stairs. Above the huge door is a semicircle window, which you can see into the living room if you're upstairs. Upstairs, where me and my sister stayed, had 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. 2 bedrooms and a bath on each side of the house with an open area between. My sister's room was on the opposite side of her bathroom, as the same for me. So one night we were home alone around 10 p.m. My sister was in her room on the phone with her friend, and I was in my room watching TV. My sister is older and usually asks me to do things for her as the younger sibling had to do. So when I heard her call for me, I got up and went to her room and asked her what she wanted. She asked me to shut her bedroom door, so I did. About 10 minutes later, I had to use the bathroom and made the journey to my bathroom that's right next to her room. On this trip, I looked in the window and I saw my sister in the living room looking at her phone. I thought it was weird because I didn't hear nor did I see her leave her room as my door was still open. After I got back to my room, a good 20 minutes later I heard her call for me again. So I leaned over the railing and I said, "What do you want?" But she didn't answer. She didn't even move. Then I heard, "Hold on, my sister's doing something," coming from my room. I opened the door scared and asked if she called for me and she responds, "No. And why are you yelling downstairs?" I didn't answer and quickly went back to the railing where I still see my sister sitting downstairs. Same hair, outfit, posture, everything. I just looked at it. I went back to my sister's room and told her about it. She told me I was crazy and went back to her phone call. I shut her door, went to the railing and looked at it again. This whole time it had its head down, looking at what I assumed was a phone. Then as I stood there looking at it, it looked up at the window like it could see me and smiled. Its face didn't look like my sister. Well, it did, but it was off. I can't describe it. I went to my room, locked my door, and didn't bother with my sister for the rest of the night. About 3 years later, we moved out of that house and I'd never seen it again. I never told my sister or my mother about what I saw, since it was just once that I saw the second sister, but that scary ordeal has still stayed with me and to this day. I've been wanting to share some experiences myself and my family have had, dating all the way back to the mid-1990s. For context, I'm the oldest of all 4 sons and we all grew up in this house. It's a small 3-bedroom home in a quiet subdivision surrounded by wilderness. My parents bought it in 1982 and still live there today. I come from a superstitious, some would call sensitive family. Most of them seem to be in tune with our extrasensory perception. In no ways do I consider myself to be psychic or someone with extremely good precognition or clairvoyance. But I do feel like I've been aware of unexplainable presence or feelings. Now, let's get into the story. My mother explained to me that before she became pregnant with me, she never really noticed anything strange or paranormal activities at the home. When my mom got pregnant, she said things changed. At this point, she started feeling a presence while at home. My father's work at time had him gone for a week at time, and my mom felt herself feeling lonely and overthinking. At night while trying to sleep, she felt like someone was in the room with her. She said it wasn't an ominous or negative energy, but the opposite. As her pregnancy continued, small objects started vanishing and showing back up out of nowhere. She bought wind-up toys and toys that would activate by buttons. She placed them on a shelf in the closet. They ended up on the closet floor, activated and playing. She says that she saw a female figure move from one room to another in the upstairs halls. At that point, she wanted to understand why the house had all of this paranormal energy, but the house was nearly built, not even 20 years old at the time. The previous owner was a single parent, but she never knew the age or gender or the children. My mom started having complications with her pregnancy, and I was born 9 weeks premature. I spent the first 6 months of my life in the hospital, dealing with issue after issue, but I managed to pull through. I know this isn't related to paranormal, but it's important context to later events and theories. There was a time when I was a few months old when a pair of hats my mother and great-grandmother wore to a wedding somehow got moved from the attic storage into my mom's closet. It spooked my mom momentarily, but then she had to come to terms that she was sharing space with some sort of friendly spirits. These things didn't really bother her too much, but besides that, nothing else really happened. One of the most powerful and strangest things that ever happened in my childhood home took place when I was still very young. You see, even though I was 8 months old, I still couldn't roll myself over very well or sit up. Embarrassing? Sure. But what could I do? I was still a baby. Anyways, my mom was home alone again with me. She put me down for a nap and she went to go lay down in a bedroom across the hall. She was really tired, so sleep took over quickly. She said that she had this very vivid dream. She was in some sort of white room. It was bright. She was sort of standing in place. She felt someone enter in the space with her. It was a welcoming presence, one she felt before. But one more ominous feeling showed up, like impending doom, or that feeling when you know something isn't right. And then she heard the voice of a girl. It told her, "The baby! The baby! It's the baby!" The voice repeated itself as she jolted awake. She sensed something was wrong. She rushed across the hall, which luckily was only a mere 7 feet or so into my bedroom. I somehow faced myself down in the crib's mattress. I must have decided it was time to move myself around, but I clearly was unable to push my face off of the mattress. Ask my mom this story now, and she'll tell you with great detail how real the dream felt and how scary it all was. As I got older, I was told around 3 or 4 I started chatting with an imaginary friend. Would spend a lot of time sitting in my room, stationed on the floor with all sorts of toys. I would be having full-on conversations with apparently no one. When my parents asked me who I was talking to, I told them her name was Tara. I told them that she was a little girl. She was a bit older than me. I said she was really nice. I didn't let this up for years, I've been told. I can remember understanding at a young age, maybe 8 or 9, that our house had spirits in it, but I was raised and told that they were harmless, that they were just here with us. And I felt it too. I didn't mind it, honestly, it didn't scare me. What scared me instead was sudden loud noises and movies about vampires. Fast forward to my teenage years now. I was sleeping on a Friday night. Across from my bed was a large dresser, and pushed beside was a longer but shorter dresser. It was tall and sturdy enough that a young person could hop up on it and sit. I remember coming out of this strange dream, and I started to wake up. I opened my eyes, and they were met with someone else's gaze. It was a young girl, dark hair, clothes that looked like they were from decades prior. She was sat up on my dresser, looking at me. I jumped out of my skin because, honestly, who expects that? Now, was she scary looking? No, I believe it was Tara. I've seen her a few other times, or possibly another female spirit. I come home to visit my parents at times. I get the same intense feeling. It's very hard to explain. It's like I know that one of the spirits are around and they're welcoming me back. I'll walk into the house, especially if I'm the first one to arrive home, and the whole feel of my surroundings change. It's hard to explain, but I have come to learn it's the type of feeling I get when Tara must be around. When I'm spending time alone at the house, especially downstairs in the basement, I'll see a dark female figure move across the back of the room, the shape of the body reflecting off the glass paneling of my parents' bar. It'll move into the laundry room and disappear. I've seen it in reflections of windows upstairs, standing in various spots around the house, as if they were just sharing space with me, as if they were just saying hi. I'm older now. I just turned 30. But in all the apartments I lived in, I've had paranormal experiences. Nothing horrifying, thank goodness. But I always seem to have something happen, and I'm okay with it. Maybe I'll share some of those moments another time. I would be lying to you if I tried to make my story sound like some sort of horror poltergeist haunting with objects thrown and evil lurking around. But I truly believe not all aspects of the paranormal are spooky and scary. Sometimes they are strange at times, but they're wholesome. The experiences can be enlightening, that maybe we do share our lives with others who have passed on, who just want to make themselves known from time to time. Maybe to watch over us. Who knows? It's all complex, but I do believe that I've had ghosts follow me around all my life. My father died of a homicide about a year ago, and is still unsolved. Essentially, the details that we know that he was found in his car that was set on fire. After his death, A few strange things happened, but I'm unsure about whether or not my brain was overridden with grief and making things up. One of the strange things that happened that I can remember were my stuffies being moved around. I first noticed my cat was spooked about something when he really didn't act like that. I was trying to get some rest and open my eyes when he was starting to creep up to my bedroom door that was slightly opened. When I looked over to the door, it was a Squishmallow, specifically the one that my father had stolen from me that I took back. The eyes were set almost strategically to look at me through the small opening of the door. I had asked everyone in my household if they had done that, to which they responded with a no. They could have easily lied though. The next thing that I thought was odd, the night before my father's funeral, me and my brother had spent the night at my uncle's house. We were sharing a bedroom and a guest room. I couldn't help but feel on edge and somewhat frightened to look in the corner. When I had my back faced to a certain corner, it felt as if I felt a presence standing behind me. The same night, I had smelled fire smoke very, very clearly. I didn't say anything at the time, and I just stayed frozen in fear. The next morning, I told my brother about it on the way to the funeral, and he had told me he smelled the same thing. The entire funeral home my father was in reeked of smoke because of him. A few weeks, I had different dreams about my father, which I know is common when you're grieving. One that stood out to me was myself, my father, and also my past stepmother who was sitting at the table. I seemed confused that my dad was alive. I began to start crying and pulled him into a hug. I asked him what happened to him and who did that to him, to which my stepmom butted in, something that she regularly did when I was talking to my father, and said, "He was a young boy. He didn't even know what he was doing." To which I asked what the boy's name was. She shrugged and responded with, "I don't know him." I haven't stopped thinking about this dream. Could it have been some truth to it? Or was it just my mind overwhelmed with grief and trying to give me closure? There was more to the dream, but the rest of it didn't really stick with me. Another odd story was a friend of my sister told me she had a dream with my father. When she woke up, she saw him standing right there in the corner. I'm not sure as to why he would visit her and show himself to her, but not to me. Unrelated to the first story, I'm lazy, and I don't want to make another post. If I wanted to get more information about what could have possibly happened to my father, I use oracles, tarot, and pendulums pretty often. Would I be inviting dark energy or spirits into my home? Would that information be guarded until the case is solved, if it will be at all? I can't help it, but I want to find out for myself. Please let me know safe ways to do it if so. Good evening, everyone. This is Yuri K, and this is the end of the video. Please leave a comment and let us know your opinions on the matter. If you happen to like this content, please check out our other videos. Make sure you like and share amongst your friends and family to help our community grow. You happen to be new to this channel? Please make sure you subscribe. It's free, and you can always change it in the future. You have some terrifying story suggestions? If so, make sure that you send it to my email, fearofthedarkstories@gmail.com, and I'll feature it in a future segment. But you guys stay safe out there, and remember to always be afraid of the dark.